Alright, welcome to Muffin Top. You're here, my friends, because you're looking for a change in your life and you believe you can achieve it. So our goal with this show and company is to bring you inspiring people and their stories. Because we are firm believers in seeing someone, just like you and me, being faced with unthinkable challenges and come out the other side gives you permission to do exactly the same.
What an intro.
My name's Scott Bazanko.
Scott Bocce Basenko, runner-up in the Saltwater 2018 Bocce final.
Epic final though.
And Stephen Kline.
Next contest, Kline.
Stephen,
The winner.
next contest, Kline. Yep.
Yeah.
The Bocce Master, Saltwater Bocce Master, and I'm James Harding.
James the Hammer Harding.
James the Hammer Harding. We're filming this Muffin Top podcast here tonight because I had a feeling a while ago that a positive news channel is an incredible idea. So rather than wait, we thought we'd provide some unfiltered, raw insights into life. And tonight we've chosen Kline to debut and kick us off. So, Kline, tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay. So my story dates back to a couple of years ago. Let's go further back. So I've pretty much always been an addict. From my younger years, it was always in a positive light through football and things like that. I was always chasing the next contest. That's what I do. I've recently found out I've been diagnosed with ADD, but that was sort of undiagnosed all through my childhood years. I didn't focus very well. Through school, I struggled with dyslexia and things like that. But all those things I sort of overcome as I got older, grew out of, and stuff like that, as you do as you get older. But then with a bit of turmoil and stuff like that, as life can kick you in the balls sometimes. I lost a child with my ex-partner, and that really put a hold on things and my personal growth and things like that. I really struggled to deal with those emotions. I've always really struggled to deal with those emotions, really, but that was what brought it out, that there was a problem, that I wasn't dealing with things properly. But so it was a 2-year addiction to ice. That was my drug of choice.
Yep.
Some people choose the gym or alcohol or whatever. I chose ice, so it probably wasn't the best choice, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So that led me to a destructive path, as ice does. You sort of, it's a gradual spiral down the abyss or down the rabbit hole. And that led me to some interesting places like prison and violence and all sorts of real negative things. Just it needed my energy to be, I suppose, redirected again. It was always in a positive light as a child, but got really stuck on that, on losing a child. That story. I think every drug addict's got a story. I think that's the primary thing. And I think as addicts forget how your story that you're sort of so entranced in at the time, sort of how it affects everyone else around you. I definitely noticed that in my this journey so far, how it affected my parents and my sister and brother and even my children. Really.
Thanks for sharing,
Absolutely.
And it's such a privilege to have you on the show because you talk straight. The one thing I want to ask is it alright if I go first?
Absolutely.
Did you always know you were different growing up?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I didn't think like everybody else. I might have had to grow up a little bit quicker than others. I was always sort of drawn to older people.
Yeah.
And I was always sort of looking for a male role model. That was sort of a big thing that I knew, or that I'm aware of now, that I sort of was looking for in my behaviour as a kid growing up. So like uncles and stuff like that, I was really close with. And that sort of, I think that stemmed from, my dad. He was like my hero sort of thing. I love my dad. But there was things on an emotional level that I knew weren't right, or he just couldn't teach me those things. So I had to sort of outsource that area of my life to sort of get that part of me done. Not that I don't think I ever got it done. I sort of only the last 6 months I've really been sort of doing the work on myself. But that was just things you notice as you're growing up, or when you sort of do reflect properly of how things were, and what affected you, what didn't affect you, and I think everyone's sort of got that as we grow up. This is life.
Yep. Bocce?
Do you still have dark moments, days, weeks? And if so, how do you get through them?
In terms of like addiction,
Addiction, the loss of your child,
Negative thought patterns.
Of course. You have days where just a thought. It's always one thought that sort of just comes in, and you're thinking about it, or like a time or a picture or an event that's happened, and you go, oh wow, we're going there again. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that the big change for me personally has been, okay, well we don't need to run to drugs for.
Yeah.
That's not the solution anymore. We've done that dance. That led to depression, like more drugs, more bad stuff, more negativity, jail. It wasn't a good place. So that's not working. We need a new strategy. That sort of new strategy was the program, HARD CUDDLES.
Yeah. Fantastic, Kline. What I want to ask more so for our viewers is, how full on did your ice addiction get?
I was daily. I was a daily addict.
Yeah.
So my disgusting, the stuff you see on the news. So like I was doing burglaries at like at big organisations. Like I've got a life ban from Bunnings because I was pinching stuff from those guys. Doing copper runs and stuff from building sites, all sorts of things. So nothing really, anything to keep the addiction going is the sort of stuff that I was doing. Deceptions and credit card frauds and all sorts of behaviour just to keep the addiction going.
Yeah. Pretty all encompassing.
Yeah.
Do you want to go, Scotty?
Just back to my original question, which was, do you still have dark moments and so forth? And just wanted to retouch on that, and just ask, when you have those moments, what are you doing now instead of turning to the drugs? Like how I know you said the program, but like, is there anything you can say for the viewers that maybe if they're going through something similar and they've got past it and just some techniques, I don't know, is something that you're doing? Yeah. I know you mentioned when we went on the camp recently a few techniques to me that you said were really good, I thought.
So the thing about when you know something, or when you know something's wrong and you've got to make a change, you sort of go anywhere to sort of outsource that way out sort of thing. So, I dabbled in churches and sort of anywhere, just counselling, behaviour change programs, all sorts of things, just to sort of get it done. So the things that sort of really that I gave a go were things like meditation, yoga, those sorts of things. Now they're sort of a little bit, you know, like I'm a bloke. I used to be a carpenter and stuff like that. I thought I was a freaking faggy, to be honest. But like to be real, it's actually quite hard. Like the way it slows down the mind and stuff like that, and that's music to my ears as an ADD person. Because ultimately, what drugs or amphetamines or any sort of upper does for my brain is it quiets it. It slows things down. And so if I can get that through another source, i.e. meditation or yoga, or just telling myself to, okay, just stop for a second, your mind's racing. Just stop. Okay, let's just stop and just realise what we're doing, and I'll do this a lot. Like I'll do this multiple times during the day. If I notice myself pacing, or if someone points it out to me, some people point it out to me and go, "You're right, what's going on?" And I go, "Oh, I'm pacing." So I'm really rushing around. Something's got on top of me, or I'm resisting something. So that's when I'll check in. I'll check in with what's going on with my mind, the body, and that's when I have to stop. I have to stop my mind and go, okay, we know where this is going. So let's just stop, check in and see how we're really feeling and see what's getting triggered here. And that seems to be really helping me slow down and seems to be a positive redirected way of energy towards the addiction instead of running off to the dealer to get a point.
So I deal personally with a lot of clients that are going through ice addiction or parents that are supporting an ice addict. Lots of different levels and layers to addiction, which is incredible for me to be. My mind has really been open, I'll put it that way. What I want to ask you is, what did you lose as a result of your ice addiction?
Good question. Everything. I lost everything. So I lost anything financial, debt. I've got exceeding amount of debt. I lost my self-worth, the belief to be myself, rights to my children. So DHS were involved and other organisations because I wasn't stepping up. I was not getting it done. This all evolving around such a really a small thing, like it was a tragic event, but it was just like something I didn't deal with properly, and away this new branch of life happened. And now that I'm talking with a lot of addicts, it's sort of really common. It's not like
absolutely.
Everyone's sort of got like one moment, might have been a car accident or a friend dying or something that's just was a big moment for them, and then that's where they got stuck. And then it's just a series of other events that happened, and it's just a big chain reaction down the abyss, Charlie Murphy.
That's it. Yeah, in the abyss. That's exactly right.
So during all the hard times, and now leading towards your change and everything, what would you say the most confronting thing it was that you learned about yourself? Changing.
Changing. That was the hardest thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
To change.
Yeah.
To change. So when I decided to come onto this, I'll walk you through what happened. So I just fresh out of jail. My parents are beside themselves. They're just like, you've got to get this under wraps. Your daughter's waiting for you. All these things, and I knew all this. Like it was not that I wasn't conscious of it or anything like that. I just knew in the back of my mind, like I'll try, but I don't think I can get it done. There was that part of my mind was saying like I'm still really heavily addicted, because I hadn't dealt with anything yet. So the change that happened for me was I just lost too much, or I lost enough to sort of go, okay, that's enough. Like I'd went through enough suffering to sort of go, okay, well now we need to do something about it. And that was at children's court. They said, okay, if you don't do this, which was drug screens twice a week, 3 times a week sometimes, psychology, men's behaviour change program, and if you don't dot the I's, cross the T's, you won't see your daughter.
Wow, so you were this close, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was. I had two years, and I'm still on this 2-year process. So I'm just really blessed that I've made the change when I did. But you go to those courts and you see the same people, the same problems, and that's what I notice now of being an addict and then maybe coming through is that's it's so common, and it's just like I don't see like a problem when I look at another addict. I see an opportunity. I see that's just like a me. That's just a me with something holding them back or something that they're not dealing with, and that's and it wasn't that hard for me. Like it was daunting. The change was daunting because I made it so epic in my own head, as you do. But just getting it done.
Yeah.
Wasn't that hard, and then once you sort of get pushed along into the right direction and things just happen, and you get a bit of momentum, and then you go, oh, what was I carrying on about for so long?
Yeah,
which is
So this is cool because it's a loaded question that I have for you, but there seems to be a lot of things that have lined up for you. Yep. So I ask. The question is, are you a religious person? And I asked that on the back of, clearly, when you talked, for me, you talked and it was like, okay, you decided I've reached rock bottom.
Yep.
Which a lot of that's just the term people use. There's different ways of defining or categorising that, but you seem ready for the change, and then everything started lining up for you to make those changes. So. Is there an existential thing out there that listens to us when we're ready, that it provides you with exactly what you need? Do you think that's just coincidence, or?
No, there's definitely something to that. But I think maybe it's on the person too. I think that it's do we have to use the word God? Like I don't think it's like God. I think it's just something greater than yourself. Something greater than yourself that's always guiding you. Yeah, it's always guiding you, and maybe if you just like listen to it, listen to your experience instead of resisting it or pushing it down as I did. Things will open up for you. So
yeah, cool.
So you found that when you started to make some changes within your head and mind, and I guess in your life, the flow and effect was things started to fall into place for you, but you had to put the work in first, and then the rest sort of followed.
Well, because let's be realistic. So it's not like a change. It's sort of like, I made the choice that things are going to change, and tomorrow it's going to be different. It's a lot more subtle than that. But you've got to build some tolerance, some patience. And to do that, you've got to burn some oil to be able to wait. So, but look, if you want to put it into a time frame, like 6-7 months ago, I was an addict. I was working, so I was not a daily user. I was now 3 weeks, once every 3 weeks. I just couldn't get it over the line, because again, it was just willpower. I hadn't dealt with anything. It was just willpower that was getting me those 3 weeks, and then when I chuck it in. Okay,
so those 3 weeks you'd work hard, and then was it like a reward for yourself, or?
Sometimes yes. Yeah. Sometimes yes. It was like, I've been good. I'll what's once more? That was probably the biggest thing in my head that was going in my head. It was like, it's a fuck anyway, mate. Like there's no fixing this. I've lost my houses. I've lost my children. I've lost my self-worth. I can't hold down a job. I'm a fucking drug addict. Let's just stay here. So that's
in the abyss.
Yeah, that was. But there was always your daughter's on the other end, and all these good things that I really wanted, but it was just that addiction that I could never really deal with to get me through to the other side. So
It sounds like hell. So you've got the carrot dangling, it's your daughter if you get it right and all this, and in the meantime you're trying to avoid emotions and it's too far. And so even when you're off your head, you might have, as I've heard Ben Cousins say, he had fleeting moments of peace.
yeah,
So even it gets to a point with the drugs where you might get a snippet of or a sliver of happiness, and then you compound it to think about the carrot that's dangled in front
of course you do.
So that's hell. It sounds like hell.
Yeah. Well, I think any addict would agree with would agree with that. That when you're doing it, when you're high, you're not thinking about the consequences. You're happy as shit. But then reality kicks in, and that's it. We're running from a reality that's that we didn't think was fair or
Excuses.
yeah, something. Yeah, there's always something.
Fantastic, Kline. It's fantastic. Next question is for me. Heroes. Who are or were your heroes in life? Who did you look up to when you were a kid, or who do you look up to and admire now?
Good question. My parents.
Yep. Beautiful.
My dad especially, and my mum mum and dad more so. My grandmother, very tough old woman from that vintage.
Yep.
World War II vintage. But mum and dad, especially on this side of the journey. I think there'd be a lot of parents out there that are, that have got an addict son or or a friend or whatever it might be, and trying to get them over the line, and it just seems an impossible task, and that's something that I've had to really reflect on. When I was in prison, my parents would come in and see me to bring in clothes or whatever it might be, and I felt so alone. But yet did I realise that I wasn't really stroking on my own. I was stroking. They were stroking in there with me, and so I didn't really see the aftermath of how this 2 years of my life of drug addiction had really affected them until I stopped. So that's been building that all back up is really important to me, and I think I'm well on the way with the folks. But there was times of trust and things, because things were broken. You break a lot of trust when you're a drug addict. It's just, I think that comes with the territory. And
yeah, absolutely.
2 more questions if I can.
I'll give you one. No.
What's one thing you do on a consistent basis that helps you keep the inner devil at bay? Like, what's one thing you do on a consistent basis?
Great question.
Remind myself what truly matters.
Yeah.
So
you do that with white vision.
I do that with my daughter, and it might be just simple things like I could see how things were going to go. Now that things are a lot different, I'm full time in her life now. Just those little things, her watching a movie and turning around and having a look and saying I love you or something like that. Those little. They don't need to be big things. Just those little things, that little connection thing that you were missing out on for so long, and
that's beautiful.
It's that just remembering what matters in life. I think
focusing on the good stuff, Kline. I just think that's so powerful, and it also leads to one of my next questions as well. But do you believe focusing on the negative focusing on the negative is so common in today's society, from what I can see? And you ask someone about what they do really well, and I can usually stump any person because everybody is so focused on the negative. Why do you think people choose to do that? focus on negativity and
it's far.
news. And
Well, it's easier. It's easier to focus on the negative. It's easier to. There's a lot more hard work in focusing on the positive and getting it done.
Because clearly that seems like a choice you've made that has improved your life.
Yeah. No. Well said. Yeah, that's exactly right. I made a choice, and it was not easy. It was. I made 2 years of bad choices. Every time I got on, I was making the wrong choice, and now that I'm not, and I'm every day that I'm making the right choice, things are better. It's a bit of a no-brainer. It's quite simple, really, but letting go of your story and the emotions attached to that story, I suppose, is where the work really begins.
Yeah. Scott, you have another one?
Where to now, mate?
Where to now? So I'm really looking forward to the next. Well, just whatever the rest of my life, really. With Hard Cuddles and James and you, Scotty, just to see what we can produce in society. There's a lot of people that need this. Forget addicts, just men in general really need a space to come together and be able to talk about things without feeling judged, and I think we do provide that for them. And I think maybe because of our own suffering, we can sort of get it more than other people can. I think.
Yeah, that's so cool, Kline, that you say that, because automatically I start thinking about something else you just said. You chose to start focusing on the positive, and then you referenced that you've made 2 years of bad choices.
Yeah.
For me, I can't help but think, and I'd love you to elaborate, that it's because you have made all the mistakes and all the wrong choices. There's really no other avenue to go down, and this avenue is easy for you because you're choosing the opposite to everything you chose.
Yeah.
In those 2 years.
That's 100%. 100%. So no, that's you've said it. You've said it, well, mate. That's exactly what it is.
An incredible story.
Yeah, amazing.
It really is. I hope it's inspiring out there for you guys. I've got a couple of quick ones. Scotty, you jump into these are like when you read the footy record and you see the player profile on the side. They're just things I always ask people that I'm interested in understanding. Last meal, say you were getting the death penalty tomorrow, and they pretty upbeat question, and they said you've got a 3-course meal before we electrocute you. What would your last 3 courses of that meal be?
To be perfectly honest, it'd be the same meal 3 times.
What would it be?
So it'd be me Par's chicken casserole.
Yep.
It's been tried. You cannot replicate
Par's
it.
chicken
You
casserole.
cannot. Yeah, it is his. It died with him. You cannot replicate it. It's so frustrating. And I don't mind the kitchen, and tried many times and failed many times, but that would definitely be right up there. So
cool.
Yeah.
This is the question I've been working on for a while. So say you another one, you passed away tomorrow, right? What would God, if there is a God, what would he say to you at the gates when he welcomed you in? What would he say?
How's that for a question? Well, that was eventful.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And then?
You ready to go again?
Yeah.
I don't know what's afterwards. So
Yeah. Would he be happy with you?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think now he would be. If it had been a couple of years ago, maybe a different response. But I think now, I think he'd say you've stepped up now, mate.
It's powerful. The saying, there's a famous motivational speaker, a big African American guy by the name of T.D. Jakes. When he does an amazing speech on being in a tight place. What does a tight place mean for you?
A tight place. A tight place for me was a space beyond help, beyond hope, beyond a way out. Complete and utter exhaustion and maybe just giving up. It was completely giving up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, were there moments where you contemplated suicide?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think every addict does.
Yeah. Thank you, Kline, for being honest and brave. Because I'm going to ask everybody on this that comes on this show, for the listeners out there, because as a counsellor, I'm obliged to ask that if I feel that's correct, doing my due diligence. But I think people would be shocked at how many people say yes to that. And why I want to point it out is because saying yes to the fact that you've contemplated suicide it's brave, and I just want everyone to realise that you're not alone if that's how you're feeling. But the dark, cloudy sky is not going to be there forever. This too shall pass. Amazing segue. Next question was, what's the one quote in your life that you love or has helped you, or what's the one? There's great quotes everywhere, but what's the one that you have really, that's been your rock?
Next contest.
Yeah. That's a good segue. Tell the viewers at home what you had written up on your prison wall as well. I think that's one of the better ones I've ever heard.
Well, there was lots.
About soldiers.
Okay, yeah. So in prison, I had a wall of the warrior, I called it, and I purely wrote it for myself, just to sort of give me hope in a negative space or in a horrible place,
Tight place.
In a tight place, yeah. But the saying was, God gives his toughest assignments to his bravest soldiers. I think that's just a beautiful saying to sort of give to anyone in a tight place or going through something really, really tough, or any type of grief or anything like that, because it's not easy. It's not easy sometimes, and people handle things differently. But that's sort of if you trust that saying, it's sort of no matter how bad things are going, you can sort of always get through.
Scotty, on that, God saving his toughest battle for his, what is it?
God gives his toughest assignments to his bravest soldiers.
What does that mean for you?
It's a beautiful quote, and it's obviously was relevant back for the soldiers, but it's even more relevant today, I feel, because everyone goes through something.
Yeah.
It's never really an easy ride, life. So yeah, as long as you know you're being brave and you get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Drugs. Tell me about your relationship. You're sober now.
Yep.
What's your relationship and or opinion on drugs now?
I don't have an opinion on. I just don't use anymore. I'm still a drug addict, and there'll be still times where I may have a fleeting moment that I want them.
Yeah.
That's the truth. But yeah, it passes. It's just a fleeting moment, and I go, oh, okay, it's still there. And if I go with that thought, who knows where I could end up.
I'm just
aware of it now. I'm aware of it now.
And what do you think then now that you're retired or healing still, what do you think about, what are your feelings towards other people that take drugs?
I'm not a reformed smoker.
Yeah, they're the worst. Worse than a passionate crossfitting vegan.
No, I don't judge. I don't know. I see a lot of myself in an addict, so I look with compassion, not really with hate or anything like that. I totally get it.
Yeah, and I think that's, for me, Kline, why you'll make such a difference with working with addicts is because you do get it.
Yeah,
this is something you've done your 10,000 hours in.
Yeah.
And something that, and you too, Scotty.
Yeah.
When you've done your 10,000 hours in a tight place or an abyss of addiction, I don't know. That's where I feel like the most change the most change comes when you know you're dealing with someone that's been there.
Yeah, I think any drug addict will be an addict for their whole life, basically. It's just like you've found a way to get it under control.
Yeah.
And you've found something in your life that means more to you.
Yeah, I did a workshop. I was lucky enough to do a workshop with a woman, and she was trying to rephrase and reframe certain words and the way I look at myself, because I identify with addiction and drug addiction. I would even say a hardcore addict, and she said, "No, you're just passionate." You know, I let a lot of things go, and then when I sat with that for a day or so, I thought, no, I'm not passionate. I'm an addict. I think it's something I will always be, and I'm not going to dress it up in a fancy dress. It's something that I'm totally comfortable with.
Yeah. It's
a badge of honour for me. How do you guys feel?
Absolutely, I feel exactly the same. Yeah, it's once you can come to terms with something, it's like it takes away its power.
Yeah.
So if you, it's like no one can ever use it against you.
Yeah.
Once you're okay with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Acceptance.
Acceptance.
It's amazing.
Because if you're not, people can use it against you.
Fantastic, Scotty.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Folks, this is impossible to. But just the first movie that comes when I say your favourite movie. What's first?
Gladiator.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the there's parts in that movie that I really struggle with. I can't handle it when he. I just wanted him to win.
Yeah.
In the end, I find the whole thing very upsetting. There's only a certain part. Same as Braveheart that I can get to. But, Scotty, what's your favourite movie?
Oh, Rockies. Hands down, they've changed my life. So.
Yeah, Rocky 4 for me.
Yeah.
Not the best movie, but the best.
What about
Rocky.
you?
It changes, but I don't know. To Kill a Mockingbird. I saw that when I was a kid, and that just seemed larger than life.
Yeah.
The Godfather is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's just. It's an epic movie. Favourite actor?
Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of people's, I think.
Yeah, definitely. You, Scotty?
De Niro?
Yeah.
I love De Niro. He's pretty special.
Yeah.
And I like Denzel as well, but, you know.
Oh, yeah, he's hard to go past.
He's hard to go past,
yeah.
isn't he?
Yeah, he's very,
something about an actor that can,
he's real.
like, play such a different role and still make me believe that they are exactly that.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty special.
So while we're on the subject, the standout Denzel for you, this movie?
I love Training Day. It's a good one.
Finally?
Equalizer.
Yeah, me too. The idea again.
Everyone wants to be Equalizer.
It's like the next Clint Eastwood in a lot of movies. A guy that's going around eliminating bad people, equalising, just for the sake of doing the right thing. I know, there's so much. It's like a romance movie for me. You know, it was more of an emotional roller coaster. I get very emotional at the end when he just squares off with everyone, does the right thing, takes care of business. I can't help but cry that there's a man taking care of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just the revenge side of me. Alright, I was on a podcast recently, terrific fella, and I love the question, if you could have a dinner party, invite 5 people from any time, any era. You could invite anyone to your dinner party. It's you and 5 guests. Who would you invite?
Wow. Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan.
Wow. You'd have to, yeah. There'd be a bit of ego at that table.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Probably Beethoven. Does that count,
Absolutely.
even though you can't hear the party?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. I'm struggling. Ernest Hemingway. I'd have to have him there.
He's
Not that I read, but
no,
anything that I have read of his is quality.
and not just that. When it comes to the traditional masculinity definition, I think there'd be a photo of Hemingway up there as a drinker. He hunted everything. He caught enormous fish. Did he serve in a war? I'm not 100% sure. Yeah,
he was there.
and just happened to write some of the most incredible literature that.
He knew how to make words count. Didn't
Yeah, he made them dance. And one more. You got one more.
Denzel.
Bring Denzel.
Gotta have Denzel.
That's it for me, Scotty.
Yeah, no.
Anything else?
It's been real. It's been good.
Thanks.
I appreciate everything you shared with us today, Kline. It's truly amazing.
Yeah, and I just made a privilege to watch your transformation, and I hope this podcast is what it needs to be for the right people.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a groundswell, and people talk about it because I think the truth about addiction and challenges will always be spoken about, and I think you've got us off to a flyer with your story. So
Absolutely.
yeah, thanks.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah. Please subscribe.
Yeah, well done.